Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:29 a.m. and we're going to be joined by Yusuf Abramjee. He is the founder of Tax Justice South Africa. We're going to be talking about a breaking story, but before we get to that story, we need to understand what is Tax Justice South Africa all about, and why has Yusuf Abramjee found himself in this space? Why is it important? Salamu alaikum to Yusuf Abramjee. Lovely to talk with you this morning. Welcome. And will you respond to my opening question, please?
Wa alaikum assalam, Auntie Julie, and it's an honor and a privilege to talk to you again. Thank you for the opportunity. Tax Justice South Africa is a non-profit organization we've been running for a few years now. We're focusing on the illicit trade. We know the illicit trade is robbing our country of billions of rands every year. And we decided in the fight against crime that we want to mobilize, to put pressure on the authorities to act and to act decisively. I've got a few fellow directors, Andy Mashaile, a well-known Interpol anti-crime ambassador, the former commissioner of SARS in Lesotho. And we really committed to making sure that we fight this illicit trade because we have a moral and a civic duty to stand up against lawlessness, to stand up against corruption, and to make sure that authorities act, and they act with speed, and we need to expose the rot in every sector of society.
It's very, very commendable, and we're truly proud of you and pleased that you've started this initiative. But when you look at the bigger picture, Yusuf, you will agree that there are many, many other areas where the gaps need to be closed, where the criminals need to be brought to justice. You talk about the illicit cigarette industry. I'm thinking of the human trafficking. I'm thinking about the drug trade and a whole host more. Any chance at all in the future, with the right amount of people on board, with the right amount of political will involved, that you could start looking into those areas as well?
Tax Justice is only one NPO I'm actively involved in. As you know, I'm very active in the fight against crime. I've got a weekly show on ENCA Crime Watch where we focus on these issues. And I'm also involved in Make South Africa Safe, focusing on the fight against crime. We know that criminals are creative. They get creative by the day, whether it's scams, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's kidnapping, whether it's hijacking. The lawlessness in our country is simply out of control. Police are finding it difficult to cope, and we must continue as civil society to highlight and to educate the public. And that is why you see, even on my social media every day, I have a daily safety tip where we offer tips to members of the public so that hopefully somebody can learn and somebody's life can be saved and property can be saved. And I think we all have a duty. So whether you're a member of the Community Police Forum, whether you're a police reservist, whether you belong to an NGO, everyone has a role to play. And I agree with you, Auntie Julie. The government needs accountability. We need to hold them to account. And as much as we work with them and we support them to fight crime, when it comes to lawlessness and corruption and criminal cops, we have to expose them at every turn. And as you know, I'm also the vice president of Crime Stoppers International, an international NGO where we pride ourselves on calling on communities to make tip-offs anonymously to the police. And through that particular international campaign, where South Africa has 3 directors, we're seeing thousands of arrests globally. We're seeing millions of dollars of seizures every month, and that is still continuing.
Yusuf, I know you're absolutely passionate about what you do. It's not something that started yesterday. It goes way, way back in the early days with your days with Radio 702. So you are very passionate about what you do. Let me ask you this question. There is a report out suggesting that SAPS is short of 90,000 officers, and the resource allocation is behind by 20 years. Obviously, this is impacting hugely on the situation you, as a crime fighter, crime for justice against crime. Obviously, this is a huge factor. I know that your focus is on Tax Justice South Africa, but crime as a whole, and having an efficient, effective police force is a top of your list, wouldn't it be? And top of all of our lists, as a matter of fact.
I'm on record as saying repeatedly over many years the police are hopelessly under-resourced. We have some very good, honest, committed, dedicated police officials, but there are also some that are rotten, that are corrupt, that are criminals, and they are the ones that must be rooted out. Police budgets are very, very small, and they're getting smaller by the year despite the crime levels going up and up. And really, I think the government needs to come to the party. There needs to be the political will to make sure that the police are properly resourced. We need professionalism within the South African police service, which unfortunately we don't have. We have largely instability in the police because we know it's been police commissioner after police commissioner implicated in wrongdoing, fired, or even criminally charged. We know that the Minister of Police is trying and is controversial in its own right, but that's a discussion for another day.
Another time.
And we also know that, for example, when people call for help, Flying Squad, the Flying Squad 10111 number, just the other day, figures were released where there were tens of thousands of drop calls over the past year, putting the lives of people at risk, making sure that people are not getting help. And this is other types of problems we are facing. We also have a large number of police officials implicated in crime. Some of them are out on bail and still in the police service. And we know that corruption and criminality in the police is a major problem almost every day. We hear of corrupt cops taking money, taking bribes, even robbing people, and even involved directly and implicated in wrongdoing. And I think that is why we have to put a lot of pressure on law enforcement agencies to bring an end to this lawlessness.
And that brings us to the story at hand, our story for this morning, regarding the cops escorting a haul of cigarettes and smugglers to the tune of 12 million rands. Tell us what happened there, Yusuf.
Well, we had the information yesterday. I immediately wrote to the Minister of Police, to the National Commissioner, to the head of the Hawks and the Deputy National Commissioner, calling for a full-scale investigation. Because our sources told us that when police made this breakthrough in Marble Hall in Limpopo over the weekend on Friday night, the loads of cigarettes worth about 12 million rand of gold leaf tobacco products, namely Remington Gold and Pacific Blue, the loads were allegedly escorted by two police officials, minimum of two police officials that we know of, in two vehicles. One a marked police bakkie from Pretoria, the other a white Golf GTI. And there was even a senior police official allegedly who escorted the trucks from the Beitbridge border to the farm in Marble Hall where the Limpopo police made the seizure. We know that police have now confirmed that 3 or 4 trucks were seized, 1 or 2 cars, 12 million rand worth of cigarettes were seized, 6 arrests have been made. The suspects are going to appear in court. We are told they are foreign nationals, although all those trucks and the tanker are registered in South African companies in Johannesburg, Gauteng. And now I'm told that it's a subject of a high-level investigation where they're trying to ascertain if any police officials escorted the trucks, who they are, how much were they paid, if they were paid, and what was the whole modus operandi. We've heard for years, Auntie Julie, about corrupt criminal cops escorting this illicit cigarette trucks and even other illegal goods. And it's important that the police get to the bottom of this once and for all, because this lawlessness must come to an end, because it just shows how much we are lost and how the criminals can, how corrupt cops can allegedly get involved with organized crime syndicates on a mass scale.
Yusuf, what do you think that these illicit and grey goods, cigarettes and other goods as well, is costing the economy on a daily or a yearly basis? And obviously that has a direct implication on you and I as ordinary citizens and taxpayers.
When I talk of illicit cigarettes, our estimates is that about 20 billion rand in cigarettes alone is being lost. I'm not talking of the illicit alcohol trade. I'm not talking of the counterfeit goods trade. I'm not talking of the illicit pharmaceutical trade, the illicit trade in other goods, electronic goods, and so on. It's massive. We are talking of tens of billions of rands annually. We know government say they got no money to beef up Eskom and get spare parts. They don't have money for diesel. They don't have money for our hospitals and clinics where our people people are suffering. They don't have money for the police. It just shows that this money is going directly into the pockets of the criminals. No wonder our country is losing so much money. No wonder our economy is in the dumps. It's simply because these criminals are getting away with it, sometimes with the help of corrupt officials in government. And we have repeatedly called on SARS and the South African Police Service to act and to act decisively. We are losing billions of rands, and I think the time has now come for a national inquiry into the illicit trade to be set up by the government. We need to get to the bottom of this. Enough is enough. We, for example, have called repeatedly as Tax Justice for cameras to be monitored 24 hours by authorities to be set up in all cigarette factories. Why has it not been done? Why are the counters not operational as the way they should be? Really, I think there is no willpower to fight the scourge.
Okay, Yusuf, in closing then, I'm kind of wondering, we can't just expect your organization as Tax Justice South Africa and a few other NPOs who believe that the right thing should be happening in the country. It is the role of each and every individual in South Africa to make a difference. What do you believe it should look like? What is it that we ought to be doing to stamp out corruption? And I know the first thing you're going to say is don't buy illicit goods, but what else can we do?
Well, it starts with the basics. Don't buy illicit goods. Get actively involved in your community. Blow the whistle on the people involved. If you know a family member is involved in an illicit trade or any wrongdoing, if you know a colleague at work is involved in wrongdoing, if you know your neighbor is involved, get actively involved. Join your local community police forum. Join your neighborhood watch. But again, take a stand. Don't protect these criminals. We make them heroes in our communities because they claim they give charity. They claim they're involved in good work, and we protect them. This lawlessness and the protection of these criminals and these criminal syndicates must come to an end. Let's stand up, and let's stand up against them once and for all.
A truer word has never been said in a while. Yusuf Abramjee, from your lips to Allah's ears, you're right. These are the very people who then donate very generously in the community. And you're right as well that we look up to them and we idolize them. This needs to stop. Yusuf Abramjee, Tax Justice South Africa, talking about the illicit trade, the illicit cigarette and counterfeit goods trade in South Africa. Good on you. Keep well. Please keep safe, Yusuf. We need many, many more voices like the voice of Yusuf Abramjee to clean up this country so that we can lead and live better lives. Jazakallah, Allah be with you, and Assalamu alaikum to you.
Thank you very much, Auntie Julie, and thanks for the kind words and thanks for the support. Let's all join hands. Let's create a safer South Africa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Ameen, summa ameen. 9:41, news and views right here on Salam Media. Standing by to talk to us, well, I hope, is Abdul Alim Khamza, Head of Department of Fund Development at Islamic Relief South Africa, inshallah.